program is not even a year old yet. Alex in particular, he did 600 grand in his first 5 months. I got to this point last year where I started feeling a nudge. The guy wanted me to pivot and start helping other coaches and consultants. I had to make a decision. Do I stay married to an idea of what people think about me, or do I lean into the purpose that God has for me? And so I took the pivot. We have not talked about real estate since November of last year. I think because we just resistant of going to the place that we miss out on the provision that's there when we get there. I've been rich and miserable. Like, I thought that once I reached the M, that all my problems go away. Then I was drinking more depressed, more empty. I was like, oh, this is crazy. That's why we came out with Purpose to Profit. You don't pursue the profits, you pursue your purpose.
100%. Because success doesn't necessarily solve the problem. God does.
Coaches today are holding their clients hostage. I'm a vessel that he's using in your life to help you solve a specific set of problems.
Hey guys, we realize a lot of you are coming to the page and enjoying the content, but we see a lot of you still aren't subscribed. And so if you could click that subscribe button, it'll help our channel grow and give you more episodes with a lot of amazing individuals. Welcome back to another episode of Attractive Mindset. And listen, today we got a nice treat for you because this man was on season 1. I'm talking about sweat, all of that stuff in that hot room. You done seen the early beginnings of us starting off this podcast. And now here we are, almost 200 episodes later. And what we want to do is showcase the growth that happens. He's a absolute influence in the business, in the industry, God-fearing man. Listen, he puts his heart into everything that he does. I got the actual ability to call him my friend. Man, Brian, welcome back.
Hey, bro, I appreciate you, Rich. It's just to hear you rattle off them 200 episodes deep, bro. That's insane.
Yeah, man.
That's insane. And yeah, I feel blessed and fortunate to have been a part of the early stages. You know what I mean? Because I wouldn't have thought that was the early stages.
You're right.
Right. So now I feel even more humbled to know that was season 1.
Yep.
Because, bro, this thing over the roof.
Thank you.
Over the roof. Yeah. And compliments on all the new space, bro. It's a vibe for sure.
Thank you.
For sure.
You know, God gonna do it.
Facts.
At the end of the day, the day gotta end. Mm-hmm. And when it ends, we get to wake up and witness another day. And there's been a lot of things that's gone crazy, whatever, but we're here.
Yeah, bro.
We have a building, a facility.
Yeah, man.
And that's really what we wanted to create, was a hub for people to be able to come together and do it on our own time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's super solid, bro. I was proud when I walked up and I saw the sign on the door outside. I was like, that's different. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you.
Yeah, so shout out to you, bro.
Absolutely. So for the people who didn't see episode 1, tell them a little bit about yourself and what you represent right now.
Yeah, so I know we live in a space in the day and age of what's in it for me, right? So what y'all can get from this podcast is we're going to drop, if you're a coach, consultant, expert, and you want to get to a point where you building multiple 7-figure businesses, having 6-figure days in your business, then you want to stay locked in for this episode, okay? Because you know how people are. I want them to know what's in it for them so they can stay locked in. Mm-hmm. But, about me, I'm just a guy who's, as you mentioned about God, I'm committed to going wherever he want me to go. And so, I got on social media known as the real estate guy because that's what I did for 20 years. And, we had a lot of success helping people all over the world build out 6- and 7-figure businesses for themselves in real estate. And I got to this point last year where I started feeling a nudge. The guy wanted me to pivot and start helping other coaches and consultants because I went through the rigors for 6-7 years figuring that out too. And I had to make a decision of, do I stay married to an idea of what people think about me? Or do I lean into the purpose that God has for me?
Come on.
Listen, if you're a coach, consultant, or expert, and you want to get to a point where you can stop chasing invoices, you can stop getting on 100 sales calls, you can stop dealing with unqualified leads, you can stop all that one-on-one coaching, and you want to get to a point where you can make 6 figures a year and actually get your life back, or better yet, 6 figures a month and get your life back, then tap in with the challenge. We're going to show you how we have 6-figure days, 6-figure months, 7-figure years, and more importantly, how we show others how to do it too. Tap in. And so I took the pivot. We have not talked about real estate since November of last year.
Wow.
And everybody now know me as the business coach because that's what I am. And, just partnering with my guy, David, shout out to David at KSM, we've seen the fruit early on. We got people, the program is not even a year old yet. And I mean, one guy, Alex in particular, he did 600 grand in his first 5 months.
Ooh,
right.
600 grand. Hold on. What does that even mean? Wow.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
I mean, it reminded me of the story in the Bible where the prophet Elijah had to go there where God made the raven feed Elijah, right? He gave him provision through an unfamiliar process from him being obedient, going to the place.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the time, I think because we just resistant of going to the place, that we miss out on the provision that's there when we get there. So
wow.
I'm just happy to be in the right place at the right time now.
Wow.
Bro.
No, absolutely, man. Just hearing you even say these numbers, from our first interview, our conversation, like, the development of then. And it's actually been a little while because that was maybe about a year and a half, almost 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And, to see the advancement, because back then you were already high level.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're also high level, but you're high level in a different category. And that just goes to show like your personality and your faith and your execution level. Because even just you saying, yo, I've been able to duplicate this in someone else. People don't understand that is not easy, especially when you're a coach, because, I'm in the coaching field as well, but I'm more on the psychology side of it. And so with the psychology side of it, I'm helping them understand structural integration. That's literally my degree field before I dropped out of college, was organizational psychology. So I'm helping them understand their mind and business at the same time. And I always have to give the disclaimer, like, this is a result of your execution. Because I have some students where one is living in Rome right now. One is living in Africa right now. He left the United States and, that was 2 years and he used to sleep on the couch. He lives a complete different life, but I also have some students who in the same spot. I have some students who probably doing a little bit worse. And I tell them, execution sold separately. I can't do the execution portion for you.
Hey.
But I can teach you the same thing that I taught that man that left the United States.
Yeah, for sure.
But your goals and your execution level have to be way, way bigger than whatever I'm teaching you. And so I want you to touch on that a little bit, getting into this coaching space.
Yeah.
First, what really made you say, I can really lock in on this, or I really want to do this?
Yeah, man, that's a really good question. I got a lot of answers to that question, by the way, right? So first thing is, Russell Brunson famously says, if you're trying to figure out who you should help, typically go help who you were 5 years ago. So when I first got into coaching in 2018 in real estate, well, at that time, I was helping people transition from corporate into being full-time real estate investors. Because 5 years prior, that's what I was working on doing, right? And then after having success, we had, multiple $1 million years, all the things, but I lost a lot during that time. I didn't have the right business coaches. And so I thought just from being an expert would make me have a great coaching business.
Yeah.
No, it made me a great expert. So what happened was, when you don't know how to properly run your coaching business from a business perspective, then you rely on marketing companies to tell you what you should do next. The problem is they don't have coaching business. They got a marketing agency.
Yeah.
So they give you the same old script. Oh yeah, just read this, do the pre-recorded webinar, all the things. So I blew through $250,000 and watched my income go down year after year, 30% or more. And then finally, by God's grace, found a business coach. And I saw immediately, by having the right people with the right information in my life, the way my business took off. Started having 6-figure days from implementing the right systems and processes. And so when God tapped me on my shoulder last year, even though I was resistant to it, I had to think about the fact that who I was 5 years ago. I was a guy just getting started in my coaching business. So the time and the season had changed. And so now I'm looking at all of these coaches and consultants who think because they experts that they're going to jump out here and have immediate success. And it's like, it don't quite go like that. And to your point, I could teach you everything, but I can't teach appetite. You got to come with the appetite.
100%.
I give you the food you can eat, but I can't teach you how to be hungry. And then after you have success, you got to master this tension of being well fed and hungry at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Right? How do you keep going to the gym after you got muscles?
Mm.
So it's a daily discipline of one, having empathy for the people you serve, understanding that we shouldn't wish for our own obsolescence. If they did everything, they wouldn't need me.
100%.
I got a job because they need help.
Mm-hmm.
But then at the very same time, pushing them to get the most out of them, because us as their leaders, that's what our job is. To coach you to your maximum level, not the next person.
Bars. From the last interview, I forgot how much bars you be dropping when you smooth with it too. Like, man, and you saying all of that makes me want to go in a few different directions. But I want to start with, you mentioned Russell Brunson, and so ClickFunnels.
Mm-hmm.
And so you won an award. We're going to talk about the award. What was the award?
So I won a 2 Comma Club award, right? Now, let me tell you what's interesting about that. I had been using ClickFunnels in years past, and we had made 7 figures. But it took for me to have the right people around me that asked me the question of, did you submit for your 2 Comma Club award? I'm like,
wow.
No, how you do that? And so I get my 2 Comma Club award, but I should have had like 3 of them.
Wow.
Had I just had the right people around me back then to show me how to go through the submission, because they're very thorough with vetting and making sure that the numbers but I just wasn't privy to it. What I mean? I used to see people with awards. I never knew how to get it.
Wow.
So, ignorance is expensive. You know what I'm saying?
Very.
Yeah.
And so now, even with that process of it, do you find that in the time and era of a digital age, it's more lucrative to use that, obviously, to reach more people, but do you feel more impactful when you go to like events and stuff? Is that still a thing that you would do?
It's that's a really good question. I thought about this actually. So when I got the award, I was grateful because it's very seldom as an entrepreneur do you get recognized for anything that you do. So that was my personal benefit from it. But I think the biggest benefit from it is for the people, because I just saw Omar reference this in a piece of content the other day in the book of Samuel. It talks about how man judges the outward appearance, God judges the inner.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when you play with human nature and human psychology, you win. When you play against it, you lose.
Yeah.
So having those type of, trophies, if you will, to let other people know of who you've been recognized by and what you've been able to accomplish, then helps them to make the personal decision that they need to make for themselves to better themselves a little bit easier and a little bit faster. Mm-hmm. So I believe that my potential clients benefit far more from the award than I ever do.
I like how you put that. That's gold. Now, when you get these clients, I want to break down a little bit, because a lot of people say niche down.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a difference between being niche down and being hyper specific.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can niche down into an industry, but if you have an industry like coaching or an industry like media or whatever, there's different facets in that. And so do you coach just specific type of people? Is there somebody that you're looking for?
That's a really good, I know I keep saying that, but Rich, you just got good questions. My bad. Y'all can edit that out. You know what I'm saying? But yes, you're right, bro. And I never heard that language. That makes so much sense to me though. Niching down versus being hyper specific. That's really good language. That's a word picture, right? Mm-hmm. So what happens is, I think initially you do niche down. So as an example, when David and I started this Purpose to Profits coaching program, we knew we wanted people who wanted to be more tapped into their purpose while they were created, and show them how to go out and be unapologetically profitable in the process, right? Mm-hmm. But then we found that for people who only had passion, that wasn't a good fit for us. Because it was too many barriers to get them to actually take action and do the work.
Yeah.
So then we said, okay, well, let's get more hyper specific. So now we want to work with people that have the heart to want to be aligned with their passion and their purpose, but also have proficiency already. So they already got some type of offer, but they don't have the right systems, the infrastructure, the processes, the marketing, the sales to make it as profitable as it should be.
Got it.
Right. So we want to come alongside of somebody that's already trying that's maybe stuck at that $10,000, $20,000 a month ceiling, that we can help them get to where they started doing 6-figure days and 6-figure months. So it took for us to start out in our niche, but then through trial and error, we were able to get more hyper specific.
Got it. Okay. And how long did that take?
It took us so we started in November, we ran our first event, and we ran our second one in January. I would say by April, we knew that, so about 5 months or so.
Okay.
Yeah.
And these events are online or physical?
Online. So we do these challenges, Purpose to Profit Challenge. We try to do about 7 of them a year. And so we coming up on, actually we starting one next week, and then we're going to have one more by the end of the year. And then we'll just kind of chill until the start of the new year. Because people get in the consumer mode, they ain't really trying to change their life by the end. You know what I'm saying? Okay. They trying to act like they changed their life by buying cars and bags and trips and all the things, right, to distract them from the real thing. But yeah, so we do these online events, and then we open up so many spots to our mastermind, you know, after each event, and then just go deeper with serving the people.
Got it. So now when you get into the business and you help these individuals, let's say they have something that's cash flowing 10 to 20,000, but you help them scale it to 6 figures. Like, is there a specific industry that you gravitate towards? Is there industries that you won't do? Or do you service everybody that at least has that starting threshold? Yeah,
we'll serve everybody that has at least that starting threshold. So as long as they fit with our culture, and by that, you know, you got to have integrity. You got to have accountability. The offer's got to be viable. We got to believe in the offer. They have to at least be malleable enough that if the offer isn't viable, that we can help them make it more viable. And again, it can't be something that we don't align with. Whatever they selling has to be something that is congruent with, you know, our faith and belief systems as well. But short of that, yeah, we'll work with anybody that's industry agnostic. Because the principles, we teach principles. So principles work irrespective of the person or the industry.
Got it. Okay. No, I like that. And so now going on the other side of that, once they get in and they do start working with you, what is the first things that you look for to solve the problem?
For sure. So I had an onboarding call with a guy yesterday who is in the real estate space. He got an existing offer. He right there in that sweet spot, that $10,000, $20,000 a month. So one thing that we do is we have them send us all of their assets before the onboarding call, right? Want to see their webinars, their funnels, want to look at all of that. And then everybody's situation is a little bit different. His particular case, he had a really good webinar in terms of the content, but the structure of it and the psychology of it was off. So it was good information, but it wouldn't cause for transformation. So we dissected that, and my partner David developed this parable presentation method, which is like a webinar strategy that's it just works, right? So we kind of re-engineered his webinar to mirror that, right? Because we know it's going to perform better for him. And then there's 3 main things that we look at every single onboarding. The avatar identification, right? So who's your ideal client? Getting hyper specific. Then we look at what's the offer, right? So we go through the offer creation process or ideation process to change whatever it is that they're already doing. And then lastly, we create the content strategy around now having this identified avatar and the offer. Because when you look at that, I think people go wrong because they're not very clear. People struggle to create content because they're not clear on who they're talking to.
Yeah.
So every day it's kind of like, man, what I'm gonna talk about today, it's like, no, who you talking to today?
100%.
Because if you know who you're talking to, then you're just having a conversation with them about a different topic.
100%.
Right? So that's why we got to get clear on, like, who do I help? How do I help them, which is my offer? And then how do I communicate that to them on a day in and day out basis, which is my content?
So now I'm going to present some controversy.
Yeah.
And, you know, I always like to hear this kind of conversation because we live in a day and age where content has become a lot of the face of businesses. But then you have somebody who's more old school like me where I'm like, you don't need content.
You know I love you, right? You know what I'm saying? We just gonna start the conversation off like that. You know I love you, right? But here's the thing. Like, your content is your new business card. I don't care if it's a corporation looking to hire you, like whoever it is, 80+% of the population, are not looking at the things we print out and hand to them. They're looking at what do they find when they Google your name. And so not only should they find something, but they should find something good when they finally do.
So now, would you rather build the brand or build the business?
I think that depends on where you at, right? I would say that the brand is more important. Okay. But to go out and I don't know what you build a brand on if you're not proficient at something. So that's why like our formula is passion plus purpose plus proficiency equals profits. Got to be good at something.
Have to.
So if I'm build a brand on something, I better be good at something. So hopefully I'm already good at the thing that I'm actually talking about. So the brand is important because that's your marketing. And leads are more important than sales because without leads, you have no sales.
100%.
But at the very same time, you can't sell a Ponzi scheme, at least you shouldn't, right? So it should be a legitimate something once they come into your system.
100%. And so, you know, why I even bring something like that up is because I always love hearing other successful entrepreneurs' perspectives because to most people, you know, even myself, I live in a if you know kind of world because I'm a ghost on social media. I don't really post for the sale. I don't post for my client. I post for me. And when I post for me, a lot of people come up to me and they're like, Rich, I don't even know what you do. And I'm like, that's good. Because you know what my company does. You know, for me, I value the business side of things more where I don't want to be a brand because in my ideas, being a brand keeps me stuck. It keeps me limited on where I can really go and how I can actually spend my time. And for me, time is the biggest currency. And so I call myself a time traveler. And so if I'm time traveling, I now have to stop in 2025 to service these people if they want to deal with me directly, brand oriented. But now, if I set up a system where you may never see me, you might see Dan. You know, you might see whoever. You know, I met a young lady today who, you know, Dan was like, oh yeah, Rich will be here in a few minutes. But her getting set up to do a booking and setting stuff up for next week happened without me being present.
For sure.
And so building an infrastructure where you're not needed, you know, that's what I gravitate towards to more. You know, there's a lot of different self-help books now, but if you really go on the old dynamics of business, which are still good, and I like throwing this stat out there, you know, DVDs, people would consider them old school, right? Last year, they made $956 million, $956.7 million to be exact. It's almost $1 billion. And so you got to ask yourself, who's buying DVDs? To almost make it $1 billion industry still. You know, and that's just recorded numbers. And so they're probably doing over $1 billion in sales from illegitimate, you know, non-documented sales. And then you got to take it to, how does Bill Gates get fired from Microsoft? Wasn't that his company? Because the company became bigger than Bill Gates. And that's the same thing for my brand. Like, I would rather the company become bigger than me than for me to be that push for the company. And I do agree with leads, but I don't think I have to be the lead magnet.
Yeah, that's proper. And I respect your position 100%. I understand it. You ready for a paradigm shift?
I am.
So you talked about not wanting to build a brand because you didn't want to be boxed in. It's only because I built a brand that I was able to stop talking about real estate, which I did for 6 years, and never talk about it again in November, and yet still be in position to have this level of success in that short period of time. So I would argue that a brand doesn't box you in. If you build it correctly, it actually gives you the diversity that you're looking for. As an example, Elon went from PayPal to Tesla to SpaceX and to other things that other things that we're not even privy to. Why? Because he's built a brand. So what happens is a brand is a quick reference for your potential client to associate you with the story in their mind. So if you associate everything what Elon does as being, you know, pushing the limits and successful, then if he drops something else, I mean, think about it. When them ugly Tesla trucks that we used to draw in elementary school, you know what I'm saying, never knowing that they would be a thing, when them things was coming out, people was buying them things 2 years ahead of time.
Yeah.
Because he built a brand. So they just believed in him based on his track record, right? Now, to your point, I mean, faceless YouTube channels win every day, right? So I believe there's a way in which you could build the brand where you don't have to be the face of it. But nonetheless, if I see this logo, there has to be a story synonymous with it to get me interested.
Correct.
Right? So I think the brand has to be built, but you just don't have to be necessarily the lead character in it.
100%. And so I like that. And I'm going somewhere with this.
Okay.
But I want to add a paradigm shift to that.
Okay.
Elon Musk is not successful from himself. He's successful from his system.
Facts.
Because when you create a proper system, and this is what I teach as well, is, you know, one of the first things I tell them is, I don't care what industry you're in. It doesn't matter. We're going to help you in the current industry that you want to be in. But what I'm teaching you, if you want to quit this industry tomorrow, you take it over there. You could take this over there. I'm not teaching you something where you got to go get another coach, or you got to go get another this, or go get another that. I'm teaching you how to pick this up and put it here. And I feel like that's what Elon Musk does. He's created a system that no matter what company he goes to, it's going to thrive. And that's how it should be. You know, you create systems in business and life because that is what really transcends legacy. That's where we start to talk about generational wealth, because we have to think about, you know, Rockefellers. We have to think about the Fords. We have to think about all of those things. And I've read a lot of those biographies, and what they've set up is systems. They're famous in name because their brand has also grown. And that's also how I've also learned to, you know, meet more people, or gotten the opportunity to meet more people, is because the system I create simply connected me to more people. I didn't connect me to more people necessarily, you know, from my business being able to put me in rooms that I probably had no business being in.
Yeah.
The law of attraction naturally just, okay, cool. Hey, Rich, I want to meet you. I want to do this. I want to do that, you know, whatever. And God put me in these areas to give influence, but I'm not an influencer, simply influential. And I only have 3,000 followers on my Instagram, and people are like, oh, you should have way more. And I'm like, man, if I had an auditorium filled with 3,000 people, I'd be blessed.
Oh, for sure.
And so I don't feel like I need more people necessarily. If anything, I do need more reach.
Yeah.
And with reach comes one person at a time. You know, and we live in a day and age of big numbers where, oh, people are going to look at the amount of likes you have or views on a certain post or whatever. But that's why one of the key things that you said stuck with me the most. Like, we got our guy 600,000 in how long?
5 months.
In 5 months. And so we're talking about volume and exponential amount of time here. And so now what I want to segue into, and why I even said all of this to begin with, is I have not a course, but I have a class that I teach called Perception is Not Reality.
Okay.
Right? And so with my background being psychology, what we go over in that class is we can see the same thing and think completely different. But does that make you wrong or make me wrong? Neither one is, because of how things are perceived. And so, you know, that's why you have optimism, pessimism, but you also have realism. I see the cup, it's half full. I see the cup, it's half empty. Some people just see the cup. They're not even thinking about what's in the cup. Yeah. And all of those people still exist at the same time. And so as human beings put on this planet, we have to think, why do we consider somebody wrong? For their perspective. For sure. Because that's their life. That's how they've been presented with information, how they've been presented with things. But this is ideally what makes community. Is you having your perspective, is me having my perspective, and is us promoting that in a conducive way. Because I might meet people who do want a brand, and I might say, hey, Brian's that guy that's going to get you right. You know, you might meet people who, I don't want to post. I don't want to make content at all. Yeah. And it's not that they're wrong, but there's a different route for you to go.
For sure.
I have a social media page that, Dan, we haven't posted on it in 2.5 years. On paper, it still does millions.
Yeah.
I don't even post content.
Yeah.
We're a ghost on there. And so they're like, well, how are you making money? Because there's a system behind it. It's already been set up a certain type of way.
Mm-hmm.
And so literally presentation of options. And that's why we have these kind of conversations, because this is a free podcast that's going on YouTube.
Yeah.
And this is where the information truly lies, that money is not the end goal. Knowledge is part of that.
Oh, for sure, bro. It's a lot of what you said, and I appreciate what you said in that just respecting the other person's perspective, because it's their perspective.
100%.
Right? Like, I have a lot of what I would call principle things that I believe could prove out your theory of not needing a brand, but why though? Mm-hmm. Right? I think that because they're principle, you're going to arrive at that conclusion on your own. Mm-hmm. Because if we take examples from the Bible, right, Solomon became the wisest, richest man with the most reach because he was putting out content, which allowed for people countries over, like the Queen of Sheba, to bring her and her contemporaries to pay him the equivalent of hundreds of millions of dollars to teach them how to be him, right? So, you look at 3,000 Proverbs, you look at 1,500 songs that he wrote, all in the Bible. That's a clue that we need to put out content so that people have an opportunity to find us. That's how we expand our reach. Mm-hmm. I don't know that Solomon was considering building a brand. I just think that he was considering expanding his reach. Yeah. Right? Which is synonymous with what you just said. Yeah. But I think that one happens as a result of doing the other.
100%.
But yeah, I think for people who make money to go, they're just going to be disappointed when they get it. I've been rich and miserable. Like, I thought, coming from the inner city of Detroit, where everything was money and consumer driven, that once I reached the M, that all my problems go away. And God got a funny way of doing things. He like, okay, there you go. Did that in 2018, and I was drinking more depressed, more empty. I was like, oh, this is crazy. He like, not that I got your attention, let's talk.
On the verge of suicide?
I never got that far, but on the verge of losing my marriage, for sure. Which was basically suicide, you know what I'm saying, looking at it. And I'm just grateful that now I understand that ain't it. That's why we came out with Purpose to Profits. As you pursue your purpose and you become proficient and passionate about something, you're going to be profitable. But you don't pursue the profits, you pursue your purpose.
100%. And why I say on like the verge of suicide is because most people don't realize suicide happens before you physically die.
That's real, bro. That's real. I had a cousin commit suicide in his 20s back, 20 years ago. And when I look at the manifestation of what was happening in his life before that happened, you're 100% correct. He was a dead man walking before he ever pulled the trigger, bro.
And so that's where we have to meet people at, because mental suicide happens before physical.
Facts.
Physical is the ending piece of it, but we have to focus on what goes on before that process, because you have zombies walking around. And that's why, you get into situations where you might see somebody and, the next day they might be a mass shooter.
For real, bro.
You know what I'm saying? And this is why we can't predict these type of things. This is where that level of mental health goes, is because, I don't know, everything was just fine, but you don't know what that person is going through.
Exactly.
And it's these conversations, it's these buildups, it's these instances where this is where community matters the most. And we have to have that conversation of when history becomes our story.
But you know why I think that happened, bro? It's what you just said a moment ago. We disallow people to have a perspective. So from their perspective, they were just fine.
Yeah.
But they never took the time to understand the other person's perspective.
Correct.
Because they really would have figured out they're not fine. I remember my cousin before he died, and I remember his mom saying after the fact that there were days, and even that day when he finally took his life, that he had came in there trying to talk to her. She was brushing him off. She wasn't getting his perspective.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm not putting this on her, but she noticed the pattern of when he would get into this mode and she wasn't paying attention to his perspective. And that's what happens, right? When people feel unseen, unheard, and they dealing with these things that they can't get their arms around, you know, they lead to the ultimate.
No, 100%. That's, yeah, you know, and just to even say something to the audience, you know, there's a number of things that constantly happen within the world that are happening at the same time as, you know, success. And so we can't just look at success as a blanket for the solving of problems, because success doesn't necessarily solve the problems. You know, God does. And with us operating in that kind of capacity, it transcends feeling good, because you can be successful and, just like Brian said, not feel good. We've had moments of we're winning, but we don't feel like we're winning. We've had moments of clarity, but we can't see that clear. And being able to distinguish the difference between what happens in your life to build you and what happens in your life to break you is the disseminating factor of just knowing. And if you got to commit yourself to anything, you know, commit yourself to being that change. Commit yourself to being present. You know, for me, that's a specific hyper route. I'm a veteran. 44 veterans a day take their life. That's the statistics right now. 44 veterans a day.
Wow.
And so how can I be a part of something that helps to mitigate those numbers? You know, me singularly is not going to change that. But if we work together to create programs and be part of programs and have outreach and listen to perspective and put videos like this out and add to our community, you know, the money's a caveat. The money is something that adds on top. That's the icing of the cake.
For sure.
But the foundation becomes with understanding self and understanding mindset.
For sure. No, I mean, I couldn't agree with that more. And just going back to your point about Alex, he came in, he did the 600 in 5 months, but then he pinged me one day. He was like, bro, I need to talk. You know, I just got a lot going on mentally. Just, you know, I need to get on the call. So we get on the call, and he tells me on this call, bro, he says, you know, I'm getting married in October. I'm making more money than I ever had. He's like, on a bad month, we doing 40, and then we doing 6 figures on the months where we do our events. And he say, but I'm only working 10 to 15 hours a week. And I feel like I'm being a bad steward over the season that God got me in. He was like, there was a point in time where I was working 80 hours a week and wasn't making 10,000 a month. Now I'm working 10, 15 hours a week and I'm making 6 figures a month. And he was like, I just feel like I should be doing more with this influence and to make more impact. So he ended up paying to come in our inner circle, 55 grand, flew to Philly. David and I spent 8 hours with him, taking a deep dive on his whole brand, right? Everything that he wanted to give birth to, whether it be books, podcasts, all the things, and helped him to set vision. So I think initially, sometimes we get to a point where we get skilled enough to where we make money, but then we still left like Alex feeling empty even after making 600 grand in 5 months because he lacked the vision of where he was going. So we helped him to recalibrate and establish what his vision was. And now he has a 3 to 5 year plan that he could get up every day and do the basics to bring in the cash, but making a living while building his fortune. His fortune is not just money. His fortune is
Purpose.
Purpose, bro. Purpose.
Yeah. And I already felt it from when you said the name, Purpose to Profits, you know, because that's at the end, once you make a decent amount of money in your life, you know, you start to realize, because I done been through the exotic cars, I done been through all of that stuff. You start to realize, okay, cool. I've done all the exciting things. I've been on vacation. I've been to the DRs, Colombias, wherever. What's next?
For sure.
And that's where purpose comes in, because that's what gives you the fulfillment where if I had to do something, what would I do for free?
Bingo.
Every day.
So here's my thing, right? For everybody that say they want to be a coach, this is the measuring stick by which you should measure. If you would do it for free, and if the answer is yes, then you should get paid the absolute most amount of money to go do it at that point. But if you wouldn't do it for free, you shouldn't collect a check, because it's going to result in you doing things for free for your clients. Yeah. And you can't always be thinking about an invoice, because coaching is a calling. It's just wrapped up in the framework of a business, but it's really a calling if you're really doing it the right way.
100%. And it comes way more natural than even some of the systems that you might set up. Because again, a business is a structure.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to have to do a certain amount. People got to get paid. Automation's got to run. Ads got to go out.
Mm-hmm.
That's just bottom line. But that doesn't stop you from being you.
Facts.
That doesn't stop you from having the human factor that you have.
Yeah.
And that human factor of you will always want to help.
Yeah. Speaking of human factor. So what's your thoughts on AI, champ?
Ooh, AI. You know, I have a bittersweet relationship with AI.
Okay.
Because I feel like AI made people rely on man more than they rely on God.
This is gonna be good.
You know, and I say that because a lot of people don't get the chance to hear me talk about my relationship with God.
Okay.
And you know, my faith aspect of it. But you know, what I tell people all the time is I don't need to be an advertiser of how I feel inside, you know, because I know my relationship and I know how I move, and my brand reflects that, my business reflects that, my company reflect that, my staff reflect that. And we don't have those loopholes. We don't have those arguments. We don't have those cheats. We don't have those steals because of how everything is orchestrated in my life. But that's always been my base. That's always been my capacity. That's always been my reach. Yeah. I'll do things that seem undoable because I know I'm good at the end of the day. Even if I take a little hit up front, that's a little hit up front.
For sure.
There's something bigger beyond that. The obstacle course doesn't go away. It gets bigger. You know, when you swim in your pool, one day you might, you know, get out of the pool and do a 5K run. Next, you might do a Spartan race. Then you might do a triathlon. Then you might do some world-renowned stuff. And there's always a bigger obstacle course for you to go towards.
For sure.
And so with AI started giving too many answers that people wanted to hear. And not enough guidance. And, you know, the only way you can get that guidance is having that conversation with God. It stopped conversations with belief. It stopped conversations with faith. You know, now, do I think AI does help the process? Yes. When it comes to an organizational, structural kind of, you know, moment, absolutely. But it's killing creativity at an all-time high.
I agree, bro. I agree. I mean, my perspective. So first of all, I'm like the least technologically savvy guy there is, right? But that's not a good enough excuse to not align yourself with the times. And so my first encounter with AI really wasn't that long ago. It was probably about 3 months ago. I was working on selling one of my buildings, and I needed this because I was the seller and the bank on this particular transaction. And so the buyer's bank needed a VOM from me, a verification of mortgage. So I ain't had one because I normally don't do the transaction this way, right? Normally that's the other bank that's sending that over. So I text my transaction coordinator and she was like, oh yeah, just get it off of ChatGPT. So me, like everybody else, when you met with a new idea, it's resistance. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, oh yeah, and I'm talking kind of slow, seeing if she gonna be like, I just do it. You know what I'm saying? She wasn't letting up. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna have to figure this out. So I go download the app. I get on there and I'm thumbing around. I put the VOM in. It spit me out 3 different iterations of it. Because I'm an expert in that area, then I knew which one was most appropriate for what I was doing, right? And so, yeah, but I'm gonna get $100,000 from that transaction when it closed. So it's one of those things where it's kind of like, how many times is $100,000 on the other side of something you unfamiliar and uncomfortable with that you choose not to do?
Facts.
Right. So I just leave that one there for y'all. Think about that.
Bars.
But the other part for me is, I believe AI can be the Antichrist. As a believer, as a Christian, do I use it? 100%. Because just like no different than money is neither good or bad, it's about whose hands it's in. I think AI is the same way.
100%.
I think AI is great for content, but not context.
Facts. That's what I literally say all the time. AI is just in that format.
Bro, because if GPT become your GOD, you in trouble.
Big trouble.
So for me, you know, even in my believers in business community where we help business owners get stronger in their faith, fitness, finance, freedom, and family life, I do like biblically based trainings on each one of those pillars. So I may ask Chat, we in the fitness pillar, I may say, hey, can you give me 10 examples of passage that experience mental health issues of some sort, right? Elijah went through a depression, etc. I'll get the content from Chat. But then I got to pray and talk to the creator about, based on who's I'm delivering this to and who needs to hear this, which of these should I be talking about?
100%.
So it helps me maximize my time in the research area, right? I'm an 80s baby. I remember encyclopedias. You know what I'm saying? You had research paper you had to do. You had to go get these volumes of these encyclopedias, right? I know the Gen Z like, what is he talking about right now? You Google it, okay? TikTok it, whatever. but the point is, like, I think it's great as a leverage tool, right? But I think when you take God out of the equation, which I think a lot of people will do because everybody looking for instant gratification in everything that they do. They don't want to take time and get still and have to wait and hear from God. And you know, the enemy, his best moves are subtle.
Yep.
So it's like, this is a good thing. You got information at your fingertips like you've never had before. But we would never look at that as an idol.
100%.
But if I'm choosing to talk to it before I talk to God, then it's nothing but an idol.
And that's exactly why the way that I talk to it is designed on how I want the relationship to
Facts, bro.
And
Facts.
you know, we discovered this yesterday because Dan has a ChatGPT version and I have my ChatGPT version. Dan literally tried to do the same thing that we ended up doing on my version versus his. He's like, bro, mine was taking me to do X, Y, Z and this and crazy. And literally all we did was copy and paste something in mine. And he was like, clarity.
Yeah.
And so how can you have the same thing spit out two complete different processes?
Bro.
And I said, because it's the conversation that we have. And I let it know that it's my peer. It's my friend. But it's not who I serve.
Bro.
I'm not giving you all the power.
Bro.
I'm letting you know I don't believe you 100%, but I want you to give me iterations of what you think I might like.
Man, that's so good, bro.
And then let me use that to my context to put it in context.
Facts. ChatGPT or AI in general is a great servant. It's a horrible master.
100%.
When I'm telling it what to do, we in good shape. When it's telling me what to do, we got a problem.
100%.
And I couldn't agree with you more. It's funny because, to your point, you know, that's the thing about AI, and this is where people gonna get in trouble. It don't stop.
It doesn't.
It is a people pleaser to no end, right?
No end.
So what happens is, like you, I'll ask it for some content. After giving me the content, you know, it want to go to the next step, and it want to go to the next step. So specifically, any content that's surrounding God, I tell it, no, that's fine. I need to go talk to God. Right? And then, Brian, that's so smart. Always seek wisdom from the, you know what I'm saying? So I'm so I know people probably like, bro, they talking about like
literally
having a conversation with our it's like,
bro,
yeah, if I'm gonna be using it,
yes,
like everybody else around me need to understand how I move. It needs to understand how I move.
Like literally, if I were to pull up my ChatGPT screen right now, I say good morning.
Yeah.
I say good night. I say, hey, that's it for today. I'm gonna go figure out the rest on my own.
Yeah.
I thank you for teaching me what you just did.
Facts.
You know, thanks for opening my mind to this suggestion. But I literally have a conversation with this bot.
Yeah.
Letting it know that I'm still gonna do some stuff on my own.
Yes, sir.
But hey, I might come to you and ask for a couple of suggestions. Hey, what do you think about this? Hey, how do you feel about this? But I'm not going to be like, I need you to tell me this in this type of way. I need you to teach me. I could do that already.
Yes, sir.
I already got that kind of guidance.
Yes,
I'm good on that
yes,
part.
Sir. Yes,
but
sir.
What I do need is, can you make my life easier? How can I package it a little easier? How can we frame it a little easier? You know, just do this step of that. It's great at that.
Facts.
Hey, I'm going to use you what I got to use you for, and I'm going to say thank you at the end of it. But we got to go our separate ways.
Bro, man, I'm so glad we talked about this. Because, I mean, seriously, when we talk about things that's affecting the culture, I think this is one of those that it it's becoming increasingly more like visible. But I think in a minute, we're not gonna be able to put the lid back on.
We're not. And where it's the most noticeable is when I walk up to people in person and I ask them about certain things that they don't even realize how much of a researcher I am. That's my natural background, doing market research. I'm gonna go through your page. I'm gonna go through your website. I'm gonna go through your post. I'm gonna go through everything that you just said. I'm gonna listen to it. I'll spend the time because one, I have the time.
Yeah.
And so because I have that, I'm your most dangerous asset, but I'm the best ally that you can have too, because I'm gonna look.
Yeah.
And when I look, I'm gonna have the subtle conversation with you in person. And off of that conversation, what you tell me, I know ChatGPT answered all of those for you.
Jesus.
I know ChatGPT made your website for you.
Oh,
I know ChatGPT broke down your whole course and everything that you got in it for you.
Man,
because there's one thing to having structure. I don't mind you doing, I do that too for the structural part of it. But when it's giving you everything that you use and you can't tell me how your life and business functions without it, we got a problem, because at the end of the day, we're still human.
Yeah, bro.
You got to see me face to face. You might catch these people online and, talk the great talk that you want to talk. But what happens when you have to meet your people where you at? What happens when you do get in the room? Because as much as we're getting digital, we're also starting to get more physical again.
Oh, facts, bro.
We're also starting to gather community again. We're also starting to build things where you have to be present. You got to show up.
Bro, I heard it said this way. AI will be remarkable, but it won't be relatable.
Facts. If we standing in front of me and you give me some ChatGPT answer, I'm going to know. Because you don't talk like that. Humans don't talk like that.
Exactly.
I'm looking at you like, what did you just say?
Exactly. Because it is brilliant, bro. I mean, it's far smarter than we'll ever be. And I appreciate that about it. But bro, it's like you have to discipline yourself against it. And I think that's where we're going to get in trouble.
100%.
Because everybody wants the easy button.
It's like
in
a credit
every
card.
aspect of their life. Like, people will be marrying robots in the next 5 years.
Oh, of course.
Make no mistake about it.
Of course.
Right? Because it just tell you everything you want to hear anyway.
Of course.
And so for those reasons, right, and for those watching this, they probably hear me say, I think it's the Antichrist. I do, but I'm not scared either, because I know Christ.
Yep.
Right? And he's my Lord and Savior. And so it can be anti that. I'm pro him. So I ain't tripping.
Yeah.
And I know how to keep myself from getting too far into it. You know what I mean? And so it's a tool to be used, not to be feared. But at the very same time, I think people need to start working more introspective and figure out, like, if you are having an addiction or a unhealthy relationship with it, you need to ask yourself what's going on.
Yeah.
Because one day I was just being funny. I put in my stories, I was like, man, AI don't talk back. I was kind of poking fun at my wife. And somebody had DM'd me and was like, they took me literal. They was like, wait till you start asking the deep questions. I was like, I ain't never asking the deep questions. So I never would have thought to ask it no deep question. That's when my mind was first open to the fact that, oh, it's a different way you could use this. Because I don't use it that way. You don't use it that way. So when she said that, I was just like, what kind of conversations you having with this thing?
Yeah. Have you customized it yet?
How you mean?
So on the bottom left, there's an option to pop up, and there's a couple check boxes, and you can literally type it in like, hey, ChatGPT, I'm letting you know right now, I'm a skeptic. I don't believe all your answers are good, because you're going to tell me what I want to hear. Oh. And so I need you to answer me knowing this information about me, knowing that I'm going to go look for other answers, and it will give you complete different answers than you're getting right now.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
That option is not even checked off for most people. It's just default. And so it'll orchestrate itself to fit you, but not like that. Once you unlock that, it goes into a complete different version of ChatGPT.
Wow.
Complete different version.
So based on that, would you recommend doing that or no?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So okay.
Because that's where, think about it like if you're operating at a 40% threshold of a conversation, you just upgraded that to probably about 80.
Got it.
And it's going to give you answers that it's not going to be generic. It's not going to be typical.
Okay.
And it's not going to even give you that much choices. Hey, I'll list off 20 choices of this and that. I'm about to say, well, with how you think, here's 5. Here's 5.
Okay.
You want me to give another 5? Let me think. And you'll see it load longer. Because right now you type something in, most of the time, it's instant.
Yeah.
With this, you'll see it take a few seconds now.
Okay.
And that's the biggest difference in the world when you have a supercomputer.
Yeah.
Oh, it's loading. That means it's actually thinking versus regurgitating.
Mm-hmm. That's good, bro. That's game. I hope somebody picked that up because I did. I'm about to go change my settings.
100%. You know change them settings and watch. It's going to be a complete different set of conversations, and your answers that it gives you, the formulas that it gives you, are going to be a lot more contextual.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we ultimately want from it too, is can you align me with things that I actually use, not things that you want me to use.
Exactly, bro. Mm-hmm. That's good. Instead of it training you, you training it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so now it starts to understand you.
Mm-hmm.
And like, okay, cool. I can't just give this guy random fluff. I can't just give this person what they want to hear.
Yeah.
This person's going to second guess me. And so I'm either going to say, I don't know, or I can't speak on that.
Yeah.
Or, hey, I might not have 20, but here's 5.
Mm-hmm.
And that changes everything.
That's strong. That's strong. And I mean, I'm going to be honest, like in the ways in which I do use it, I'm amazed at this thing, bro. Mm-hmm. Like now, because we taking a trip in February, I was supposed to go to Dubai for my 40th 2 years ago. Ended up doing a challenge instead. I mean, we did 6 figures, so I think I made the right decision. But but it's been a paid for trip that we just haven't taken yet. Yeah. So now I'm kind of like, do I still want to go to Dubai? Do I want to go to Thailand? Do I want to take my wife to different parts of Spain? And so I'm telling chat like, hey, I'm trying to come up with this trip in February. You know, these are the criterias. It's got to be some type of cigar culture there. That's my thing. You know, mountains preferably for my wife, this, and this. And bro, when I tell you, like, chat gave me 3 different itineraries, 3 different comparisons, like the level of luxury hotel that I like to stay in, different cigar joints, planned out the day as to when I could. It's unbelievable to me, bro. Yeah. Probably scary for some travel agents, but unbelievable its capabilities of how intuitive it can be in the specificity, right? The ultra specific that you talked about. It's crazy, bro.
No, 100%. So, you know, now what I want to touch on, even speaking about this big topic, is when you're coaching people, you know, what exact methods are you doing to get these outstanding numbers? Because that's exactly what they are, brother. Outstanding numbers. Yeah.
So the base of what we do that's different is we teach people how to position their offers. Okay. So what I mean by that is this. We use an ABC framework with how we help people structure their offer. A is the place that you pick them up from, your potential client, which is either pain, potential, or pleasure. A lot of people sell with this idea that everybody in pain, but they're not necessarily in pain because they're in a painful situation, as if they ain't making enough money, they hate their job, all the rest of it. They're in a pain, potential, or pleasure problem. So some people are just not making enough money, hate their life, all the rest of it. But then you got people that's in a potential season where they in corporate America, as I was, maybe making multiple 6 figures, but they still feel unfulfilled. So they going out buying the Gucci, the Louis, taking trips every time they can to still escape from this fact that, yeah, I'm making the money, but I'm not walking in my purpose. And then the pleasure, you got people that's in a season where they done something 30, 40 years. They're like, I'm still alive. I ain't working. Bingo and golfed and got old. What I'm supposed to be doing. Yeah. So you have to understand where you picking them up from, pain, potential, or pleasure. So that's point A. Point C is the payoff. Okay, this is where people go wrong. So as an example, if my travel agent, as we were just talking about travel, wanted to send me to the Maldives, they would send me pictures, photos, videos of the water bungalows in the Maldives. Not the 28-hour flight with 3 legs to get there.
Facts.
So you identify point A, where you're picking them up from. You sell them point C, which is where you're taking them.
You build in point B.
And then you implement point B. That's your process in your system. because people spend most time developing point B, which is the process in the system, that's the thing that they're selling people. They're selling them the 28-hour flight with 3 legs. The problem with that is don't nobody want to do no work. Everybody want the easy button.
Yeah.
So you have to get them focused on point C and then help them implement point B. So that alone, I promise you, if you're a business owner right now, whether you're in coaching, consulting, or you're just a traditional business owner, if you make that change in how you position your offer, you're going to make more money. Because if somebody giving you a measured amount of money, they need to understand what's the measured outcome.
Yep.
But if you're only selling them on the work and how many Trello boards and how many modules you got and there's 37 different modules in the portal, people don't want to watch 37. They want to watch 3. That's going to get them to 6 figures. Yeah. If they had the choice between 3 or 37, which one would you pick? The 3, right? The 37, I may look at them at some point, but I want the 3 that's going to get me there the fastest.
Yeah.
So that's step number 1, re-engineering the offer to focus on the payoff, not your process and your pieces. Step number 2 is collapsing the sales cycle. So a lot of time when people sell one-on-one, it's like it sputters. You know what I mean? You hopping on sales calls, you got, sometimes you get a spurt where you get a few, and then other times you got times where you don't got any. So what happens is when you use a one-to-many framework, which is what we use, we like the webinar as the front end, and then there's 4 different pathways of 6 figures, whether you're selling a product, a service, a program, or it's a book funnel. So we got 4 different ways for you to leverage a webinar, but that's the starting point because you're getting more of your audience in one place at one time. And then we like the challenge model because there's no better immersion for conversion. The deeper the immersion, the better the conversion. So Google came out with this study, which has been coined by various people now in different books, but it's the 7-11-4 principle. Yeah. People need to experience you 7 different times for 11 hours on 4 different platforms, right? So a challenge, because of the nature of it, allows for that to happen over the 1 week period. 5-day challenge, you do 2 hours a day, you check every one of those boxes. You got all the various touch points. They're getting hit with text message, they're getting hit with email, they're getting hit with YouTube videos, in addition to the content that you're delivering them every day. So it allows for a deeper immersion for the conversion. So people can spend a week with you as long as you're good, right? The 1 hour in VIP where you answering random questions, you can't fake that. I may be a great presenter, but I can't fake not knowing that it's 150 people here and I have no idea what they're going to ask me. Fact. So it's no better way to put yourself on display and quiet the misconceptions than that. Now, if you can't do that, then don't do that.
He's giving you gems
because I'm telling you right now, you're going to be like ChatGPT. Rich going to walk up to you like, hey, answer this. You know what I'm saying? Facts. Yeah, just 1 second. I'll be right back. Yeah. So if you are him, if you are her, there's no better way to display that. Facts. Than to let a bunch of strangers show up in a room and ask you questions and you answer their problems right there on the spot. So it just helps for people to make the decision they already want to make faster and in a bigger sequence. So now all of a sudden, instead of me trying to chase down all these invoices and one-on-one conversations, I have one conversation with 150 people and then 10 of them buy my 10, 20, 30, whatever $1,000 offer. And I got a 6-figure day.
Woo. Woo. Talk about process. Hey, listen, the amount of game, and I want people to really understand that he didn't even just hold back anything just now. He literally told you his entire process, but somebody telling you their process and you being able to execute it at that level, 2 different things. And so when people are giving you real information, we're not scared of telling you what to do. We'll tell you all day, but will you be able to do it is another thing. Will you have, and there's different factors that apply to that. Financially, there's a structure there. It might seem simple and it might sound simple, but even from me hearing that, you setting up those processes, those funnels, that teamwork, that structure, that's money.
It is.
And I know it's money.
It is.
And so off rip, that's going to disconnect most people because now you're trying to facilitate copying a structure that financially you just can't. Yeah. And that already separates the window of, okay, well, what it is, what it is. Yeah. Almost like a Diary of a CEO where you've seen that podcast?
I haven't.
And so they're probably the biggest podcast in the world right now. Stephen Bartlett.
I'm sorry. I've seen a couple episodes for sure.
And you know, a lot of people try to copy his process. You know, even for us, we do a lot of similar things, but I'm not naive enough to know, there's no way the amount of money that he has going into that. And he actually dropped the BTS video showing on what 12 episodes cost him to produce. And it cost him $127,000 to shoot and produce 12 episodes. He's sitting around 300, 400 episodes total. And so if that's just 12 episodes, I'm like, yo, what does that even mean?
Facts.
Because I understand my podcast episode editing and I get it, you know, cool. Coming into the studio, editor, putting it out, advertising, whatever. And I'm like, I'm not doing 127,000 in 12 episodes, you know?
Sure.
And that's just not, that's on a spending.
For sure.
You know, so I can only imagine when he says like, yo, yeah, we make a couple million off of YouTube. Yeah, I know why.
Yeah, exactly.
I know why.
Exactly.
And that's just like you said, the A to C, that's the part that people get sold on when a lot of early coaches start talking to them about certain things, are they sell the C.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, oh yeah, you can do this and this and this and that. But then they try to copy somebody else's infrastructure.
Yeah.
And it folds. It doesn't work. And so, you know, that takes me to the question of, is there anybody that's ever joined, you know, your program that hasn't made it?
So here's what I would say to that. Made it is relative. What I can tell you is that every single person that's been a part of any programs that I've been attached to have become a better individual as a result of being in the room. Do they have the same output that they desired when they came in? Not necessarily, right? But they have not. It's kind of like church. You come as you are. You just don't get to stay as you are.
Yeah.
You can't be around me and David and stay as you are. Right? You be better off just not showing up, because there's going to be accountability. There's going to be conversation.
Yeah.
We going to always do our part, even if you ain't doing your part.
Facts.
Right? And so by virtue of that, it's funny because sometimes I catch a late bloomer where a year and a half later, I see him doing something. And it's like, oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
You know? But it took time to become the person. And I think, you know, I put a video out about this recently where you don't become a millionaire by watching what millionaires do on social media. You become a millionaire by watching what they do when they're not on social media. The quiet time I have with God in the morning, the in my word constantly, the discipline I put my body through, the discipline I put my mind through, the portals that nobody got to tap me on the shoulder to go get in, but I schedule them like classes, because if I could let school institutionalize me, I better let myself institutionalize me. Right? It's those things that people don't see that make me who I am. And too much in society, we trying to copy the harvest, but not the seed that's being planted. Yeah. Because the seed is being planted is happening under the soil. We don't see that. But in order for there to be a harvest, well, that's indicative that there had to be some seed. In the case of your man, it was $127,000 seed he put in the ground to make millions of dollars on YouTube every year. Yep. But people focused on the harvest instead of the seed. 100%. And so, you know, in scripture, in chapter 1, and I got this from Myron, but he got it from the Bible. The first 3 things that God told the man was to be fruitful, do multiply, have dominion. The reason why many people don't get the fruit from a course, whether it be my program or others, a lot of the time is because they're trying to have without becoming. There was an order to that. Be fruitful, do multiply, have dominion. So the prerequisite to have is to do, but the prerequisite to do is to become. So you can say you want to have $1 million a year, but if you don't even like the sound of your voice and so you won't post content, you're never going to get there. Yeah. You haven't become the person yet that's willing to do whatever's necessary in spite of your feelings to have the result that you say you desire. Yeah. Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
Okay. Nah, that's man, this entire conversation has just been, it's one of those. It's definitely one of those. And this is going to be an episode that y'all got to rewatch, because the amount of gems that are put into it subtly and not so subtly is something to be studied, you know, and, you know, going in on a closing note, you know, you mentioned David, and the last time we talked, I don't think David was part of the equation.
He was, but he wasn't, man. That's so funny. So this is what happened. So I got burnt by so many marketing companies. I was over it, right? But then when I joined Myron's Inner Circle years ago, pay that man $55,000. I'm about to do everything he tell me to do. That's the way I get coached, right? I gave you my money because I believe that you got something that I don't. So I'm going to fully submit to your process. I don't care how I've been doing it. Today, I don't do it like that no more.
Facts.
Right? So that's what I did. And his process was totally different than how I was running my business. And although I had made millions of dollars at that point, we had our worst year, which was $400,000 at that point, and I was freaking out because the next step was zero, the way I saw it. Paid Myron, fully surrendered to the process, and I met David. There was a lady who was in the challenge that I was in with Myron, and I was just, you know, just helping her out, giving her little nuggets here and there. And so she found David, and she was like, Brian, I know how you feel about marketing companies, but you got to meet this guy. Like, he could do your funnels, he could dig it. I was like, all right. So she set it up, she connected us, had one call with him, and I was like, I get it. So I just told him, I was like, give me 24 hours, I'm gonna pray about it, send me the invoice. Next day, paid the invoice, we was rocking and rolling. 30 days after that, he had helped me revamp my entire business. Wow. Right? His webinar, at that time, he had the white glove webinar system. Now he got the parable presentation method. But it started out as just agency client. And what people don't know, so at one point we got to a point I was having consistent 6-figure days, like all the time. And then I wanted to expand and diversify some of the product offerings that we had. And at the time, David's agency, that wasn't a sweet spot. And although he was being flexible on a lot of things, I also noticed it was taking him away from his bread and butter. So I had to come to him and had that hard conversation. I was like, bro, I think I'm at the pivot right now in the season. I got this other guy. He's been more known for doing XYZ. You know, I appreciate everything, all the things. And, you know, we proverbially hugged it out over the phone. And that was that. I went with this top guy in the industry, gave him the money. Bro, worst experience ever. You know what I'm saying? Worst experience ever. So we kind of holding him accountable for the first 90 days. And it just so happened, I see David at an event in Tampa. And he was like, bro, we need to catch up. We made some adjustments. We looked at our business and we were kind of like, we prefer to have less clients, but more like you, as opposed to all the clients that we currently have. I love to show you what we've been working on. I think that we can help implement some of these things. He don't know, meanwhile, back at the ranch, I'm over here like losing it. You know what I'm saying? So God's divine timing, I started back working with David. I fired the other guy and we started putting some stuff in place. And so make a long story short, fast forward like another year and a half, David started having dreams about me. I started having dreams about him, right? I don't know if I'm supposed to say pause at that moment or not, right? You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? I'm being funny. I don't say pause. I mean. But it was interesting because as we explained our dreams to one another, and neither one of us like vivid dreamers.
Pause.
So I'm telling.
Had to put it in there.
So it's like we in these auditorium settings. Like he explained his is like a conference. I explained mine like being in an auditorium. And he was on the whiteboard teaching. I was sitting in the audience. And this went on for like 6 weeks, bro. Like periodically we would just tap in like, yeah, I'm still having these dreams. And then faith without works, right? So I'm like, Dave, I think God telling us to do something together. Because he was already coaching coaches. I was coaching coaches. But I'm like, bro, our skill sets complement one another. You know what I mean? I'm more sales psychology. He's more marketing. You put the two together, it's something special. So we said, let's just run our first event and see what happened. We ran it and it was fruitful.
Wow.
And then we were like, okay, I guess we need to go put some trademark, you put the infrastructure, all the things. And here we are now, bro. It's crazy. Wow. Yeah.
Nah, that's clutch. Hey, man, shout out to David. I never met David, but I could tell, you know.
Oh, you got to get him on for sure.
We definitely going to get David on, you know.
But I want to just say really quickly to that, when you look at partnership, for me, like, and this by God's grace, man, like me and David had already went through a lot of rough things as client vendor.
Yeah.
So our relationship was already tested, which typically you get into a partnership, that's when a relationship is tested.
Facts.
So we got all of that out the way. Like we got to have them nasty calls and the good ones too. You know what I mean? And so I think that's what's helped us. Like right now, I'm here today. He taking the coaching call for the clients. He was in Africa last week. I took the like it's a rhythm that we have, and ain't nobody competing for each other's space. And we already know what it looked like being in the foxhole because we've been in the foxhole together when it was a transaction. So now that we partners and we in a foxhole together, it's like it ain't nothing we can't do. You know what I'm saying?
So, it's interesting that you say that. And, on a closing note, what I want to touch on is, do you plan on selling this business?
That's a really good. See, I've been saying that since the start, y'all. My bad. But no, David has this like proprietary system called a monetization day that he does for businesses. And he did it for me as a client a few years ago. And we offer it for our clients, but we did it for our business as well, like 2 months ago. And his COO, she asked us that. She was like, y'all gonna build this thing to sell? Dave was like, man, I don't really want to sell it. You know what I'm saying? I'm in between. I think for me, as long as we could still maintain some level of equity and influence over what happens with the brand, I'd be okay with selling it at some point. But we are putting mechanisms in place to make it a sellable business. Right now, it's just a promotion company, right? Because we run in challenges but we got some other proprietary pieces that we add in that's gonna make it positioned to be more sellable if and when that time comes. Okay.
No, I knew you would like when I asked that, because again, that's when you get to a certain level, your brain thinks a certain type of way.
Facts.
Like making the business is cool and all, but time still got to be time.
For sure.
And the one thing that nobody on this planet can escape is age.
Facts.
Age happens to everyone, and it
sir.
happens at different times for everyone.
Yes, sir.
And
seasons too.
Oh yeah,
right.
Seasons.
Like the same way where God brought us together, He could also pull us apart to go in different directions for some odd reason. And so we got to be sensitive to the season we in and start planning for if and when that season ends. So 100%, I think it's just good stewardship to your point.
No, 100%. But man, Brian, this was great.
Yeah, bro.
This was a much needed part too. Just being able to understand each other, understand perspectives, hear what you have going on now. Like I see it from social media and I'm like, man, I'm clapping.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Did I pass the chat GPT test?
Yeah, you definitely passed the chat GPT test. Like that's how you want somebody to answer when you're like, okay, what do you actually do? And they can break it down, not like, oh yeah, we just help them get to this level and this and I know that part, but like what's the process? Like, how do you do it? You know what I'm saying? And that lets me know that you also work on your craft. And that should let you and the audience know that this is a man that's serious about what he got going on and serious about helping other people. Just like you said, Alex called you and you were able to have that heart to heart. Most people can't say that about their coaches because they feel like, oh, well, it's just transactional. Like this is outside of our meeting hours. This is outside of my dedicated time to you. This is what you have to pay to get to X, Y, Z, and for me, where again, it comes to perspective is I've now moved toward a state of my life where I want to charge people less and make more money. And when I tell some people that, they're like, what does that even mean?
Yeah, that's a good motto though.
Oh, it's a great model.
It's a good
model. It's the best model that exists right now.
It's funny because this came up when we were meeting with Alex because he's got a podcast and I think it has a potential to be really big based on its uniqueness and based on him too, being the one behind the mic. And we were talking about structure and all this. And I was like, no, bro, you should just have like a Patreon and just put 40,000 people in there. Right. And charge $10.
Yep.
And David about fell out his chair. Now, normally I'm the one that's aggressive. Right. And then David was like, man, what?
Yeah.
He like, you sure? I was like, bro, just listen to me. Right. Because if he's really intending on reaching millions of downloaders, then why raise the bar on the price point? Like make it easier for more people, and he just creating more raving fans.
Yeah,
he's serving people at a deeper level.
Yeah,
and then he'll still have other tiers reserved for people that he wants to go deeper with on a more intimate basis. Mm-hmm. But I think that's a brilliant approach, bro.
Oh, 100%, and it's already being shown to us because some of the richest companies in the world right now are Amazon. Mm-hmm. You know, Amazon Prime. Mm-hmm. What is that? $16 a month.
There you go.
Netflix, $16.97 is the most popular plan that they have. You know, Hulu, Disney Plus, all of these things, they're meeting the majority because no matter how much, even if you're only doing $10,000 to $20,000 a month comfortably as a business owner, and that makes you stuck, you are not part of the majority.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, if you go on SBA.gov and you see the statistics of how much the individual black male usually makes in our community, it's $46,500 a year. Wow. And so if I understand the dynamic of this is the average across the board, and if you go into other, you know, demographics, Asians might be doing, you know, 60,000, you know, white male 56, around there 57, you know, and you have different demographics. Okay, cool. But this is yearly.
Yeah, bro.
How can I make something that speaks to them every year, over and over? Mm-hmm. And that's what I've started to lean more towards. Like, if I really want to serve community, how can I serve multiple people at once, still showcasing my heart?
Yeah, no, and it's smart because you want to make it so low that it's more inconvenient to have to get rid of it.
Yep.
Like I'm right now, bro, I'm thinking back to this V-shred thing that I did just because I felt like my workouts was getting monotonous, and so I wanted some different insight. This before chat. Now I could just tell chat to help me with a workouts program, but I paid like $10 a month for this thing, and it gave me like these workouts.
Okay,
bro. It would take me more brain power to try to go find out where the email was at, unsubscribe, cancel it.
Yeah.
It just keep getting paid. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I know that probably sound like bad stewardship. I get it. You know,
I mean, I got the same thing with somebody's Patreon account right now. Every time I see it come on my account, I'll be like, you. And I don't know which account I made for Patreon to sign up on it, but it's been about 3 years now.
Bro, so you know exactly what I'm
going.
Bro, and guess what? They created it with that in mind.
Yep, and I'm like, it's $5. Yeah, you just gonna get it from me.
I'm blessing somebody, bro. $10 a month, they getting it in perpetuity. Yeah,
because I tried one time and I'm like, yo, I just spent 40 minutes on this and I'm still not unsubscribed.
Yeah,
I said, cool, keep it.
Yeah,
have it at that point,
bro. They got it for the rest of their life. They won't cancel. I won't cancel.
Exactly. You got a lifetime member.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, LA Fitness got me with it at once too.
Oh, Anytime Fitness. I'm saying $47 a month.
Yeah,
and I go. It's crazy.
Yeah, I'm like, man, they make the process so. I'm like, all right, you know what?
Yeah.
I got to get into something like this.
Yeah, for sure.
Because
that's smart,
it's
bro.
just lucrative. But nah, man, Brian, this was amazing. You know, thank you for letting us into your world of what you got going on right now.
Yes, sir.
You know, I'm looking forward to when you come back for part 3.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying?
Nah, man, it's been a blessing, a privilege, and an honor, bro. And I mean that.
Absolutely. And so if people wanted to tap in with you, learn more about, you know, what you have going on, if they're interested, because we have a lot of people that are starting businesses and they might be at that threshold that watch this podcast, you know, what is something that you would tell them and how can they really be a part of what you have?
Yeah, I think the first thing I would say is if it's not worth doing over, then do it right the first time. Right? So, you know, we had these Purpose to Profits challenges. It's $17 and $47, just so y'all know. It's $17 for general admission and $47 for VIP. It is tens of thousands of dollars worth of value. Okay. David and I did that strategically because it's called Purpose to Profits, right? Yeah. So, by the way, the mentorship ain't even close to that, just so you know. If you get to that level, like it ain't even close. We got offers that go up to 6 figures, but we want to serve everybody who has the heart to be served at that level. And so you could go to purpose2profitschallenge.com, purpose2profitschallenge.com. And we seemingly always have one going on. So hopefully by the time you watch this, you better catch one. And if not, you could connect with me on Brian Adamson Official everywhere.
And so y'all always know how we do. And I'm gonna put Brian in the hot seat. And I'm maybe he do it, maybe he don't. But I feel like I know Brian's heart and he will, for people in their time.
Mm-hmm.
Because time, again, being able to make a podcast episode and have somebody actually watch the episode, I want to put something up during the middle of this episode. It's not gonna be at the beginning or the end,
Mm-hmm.
but I want to put a word up on the screen and it's gonna sit there for a little bit. And if somebody watches and get the word, are you willing to give away 2 free VIP $47 challenge things?
For you, I do 5.
Ooh, they're
I do
5.
5. I do 5.
He said 5 people.
I
Listen,
David, don't get me, man. You know what I'm saying? I was caught up
You
in
know
the
what I'm
moment. I'm
saying?
sorry, man.
5. And so that means
Dan got a gun over here, just so you know. You know what I mean? We talk about that later. I'm just trying to get out of here and safe, okay?
5 of you who watch this pod are going to have the chance to experience what this looks like at a VIP admission challenge. And so just explain to them a little bit what they should expect from this challenge.
Yeah, so day 1, we're going to teach them how to create the irresistible offer, how we was talking about point A and point C, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then day 2, we're going to teach them the distribution channel. So starting with, we're going to teach them how we create 6-figure days through our challenge model, okay? And then on day 3, we're going to teach them the webinar, which will be how they'll sell the challenge. So we go through the whole webinar. We talk a lot about why webinars are dead today. It's not because they're dead in nature. They're dead the way that they're put together.
Yeah.
And so we're going to show you our parable presentation method. And then on day 4, we show you our buy back your time system. So, and it's just so y'all know, this is going to sound crazy, but we talked about Alex already, so you're going to know it's true. Mm-hmm. We teach them how to make 7 figures a year working 100 days a year. Alex was working 10 to 15 hours a week, made $600,000 in 5 months. So like, I'm not just talking when I say this, right? So that we teach them that on day 4, our buy back your time system. And then on day 5, we teach them 4 paths to 6. So 4 different pathways to 6-figure months.
And now, even with you just outlining stuff like that, this is again where when you have community, when you have people that is knowledgeable about their stuff, even because I'm a coach as well. Mm-hmm. And again, understanding my perspective of things versus your perspective of things, this is where it's collaboration over competition, because I am literally going to go right after this and tell a few of my current students that already pay me, go sign up for his VIP challenge. Go learn some of that information. And when you're a true coach, you don't have an issue doing that, because there's no inadequacies in that. Like, he's going to teach you something different, a different way to build it than I can. I'm still going to teach you what I need to teach you, and you're going to get the value from that. But why stop that value when you can also learn this route?
Rich,
when
man.
we can also take some of that and really multiply it.
Listen, if you're a business owner and you feel like maybe you're doing good in business, but you're doing bad in life, your family life, your marriage, your fitness, all those things, like they being compromised for the sake of your success, then I want to tell you don't have to be that way. I was once in that same boat, but once I was able to get these 5 areas of my life together, everything changed. And I want to help you do the same. If that's you, I want to invite you to watch this free webinar at www.believersinbiz.com. And if it makes sense, join the community of other business owners who want to win in every important area of their life, not just in business. Bro, I so appreciate you, one, for your heart, right? The other thing that I appreciate you bringing this up, because it's something that's been on my heart a lot. Coaches today are holding their clients hostage when it was never intended to be that way.
Yep.
They need to sit at your feet for a specific period of time for a very specific thing that they need to figure out. They need to go sit at somebody else's feet. Like, it's only one God.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the time we end up with clients and we think that we become their God. And to some degree, they think that we become their God. And it's like, no, I'm a vessel that he's using in your life to help you solve a specific set of problems.
100%.
And I just appreciate the open-handedness from you saying that, bro, because me and David the same way. We just truly believe that. Like, we going to give you as much as we can give you for what we're supposed to give you.
100%.
But somebody else going to be able to give you another part.
100%.
So I just appreciate you saying that, bro.
Nah, absolutely, man. Brian, this has been another amazing episode. And man, make sure y'all tap into everything 5 individuals. So it's going to be somewhere up during the podcast, and it's about an hour and a half podcast. So you're going to have to watch this because we're not putting it in the beginning. We're not putting it at the end. You're going to work for that.
Facts.
Yeah. So it's going to be 5 of y'all. You can hit him up and we'll make the word, mindset. If you set mindset to him, we'll give you it's not going to be the word that's on the screen. But once you send them, we'll know what you're talking about. So it's going to be us or either him, and they're going to be able to disseminate, and then we're going to get you right. But listen, this is another amazing podcast. Make sure you like and share this with somebody else. This information is not meant to be kept to yourself. And so this is free, literally, on YouTube for you to digest at your own leisure. But what comes after free is actually time value. And if you really value your time, make sure you subscribe, share with a friend. It's your host, Moneybag Rich. And at the end of the day, we always say, we look good, we live good, life is good. Talk to us, we talk back, and we out.